ready to go. Alright, hello everyone, it's me, Lonne again. This is Shin Megami Tensei Persona. We're going to be doing the Snow Queen quest bad ending run today. Where, as the name may or may not imply, we get the bad ending of the Snow Queen quest. So we'll just go straight into it. We've got plenty of dialogue and stuff, so we'll do some explaining once we actually get in there. So we'll just get started just now, and I'll try and do some explanations, I suppose. So this is Shin Megami Tensei Persona. I'm gonna call it Persona for the rest of this run because trying to say that mouthful is quite the mouthful. This is a PSP remake of the PS1 Revelations Persona. But apart from that, it's basically been unchanged since the 1995 original release. Or, yeah, I think it's 1995. Basically, it's really old, right? This game's got two routes. We've got Seebeck, which is like the main route, and then Snow Queen, which is what we're doing today. It's like a little sort of side story, I guess, that runs in a unclear timeline in comparison to the main game. We're going to start off with the usual JRPG fanfare where the game has lots of dialogue. These characters here, these are all the main party members. You'll see some of them later on. We're actually going to go and play Persona. Crazy, right? But in this case, Persona is not a series of JRPG video games developed by Atlas. It's actually like an old sort of folktale kind of game, like an urban legend kind of thing, where they're trying to, you know, summon like a spirit or something like that. It's like think of it as kind of like, you know, like Bloody Mary or something, akin to one of those things. And as you might expect, things will totally be normal and we will have no weird things happen whatsoever, right? See, as you can see, absolutely nothing happened. Nothing to be suspicious of or anything like that. Two of the characters here, Mark and Brown, are actually betting on the results. I think they were betting like lunch or something like that. Oh hey, here's a weird thing. It's weird how that happened, huh? That sort of came out of nowhere. Like a little ghost girl has appeared. Now, do not worry about who this ghost girl is. Does not matter. That only applies to Seebeck. So for Snow Queen, literally meaningless. And now we're all zapped by lightning. Or some of us are zapped by lightning. And we're now sent to a, you know, different dimension, I guess. I don't know, we're kind of just making it up as we go along, I think. We're gonna get introduced to an important guy. He'll explain himself, so I'll let him just do all the talking.
Welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Philemon, a dweller between consciousness and unconsciousness. And now, a simple test. Can you state your name?
I don't actually remember what my name is, so we're just gonna call ourselves A. Or sorry, it's not A, it's 1 in this game. Most games is usually A, but this is 1.
Splendid. There aren't many who can remember their identity when in this domain. It seems you passed that test.
I am indeed the 1.
But tell me this. Are you aware of the many and varied selves you harbor? within you. The self suffused with divine love. The self capable of demonic cruelty. People live by wearing different masks. Your current self may be only one of those innumerable masks. You, though, you have a very firm grip on your identity. I respect your strong will. In return, I grant this power. Persona.
He said the name of the game!
It is the power to
Yo!
summon the selves within you, the gods and the demons you harbor. The time is soon when you will need this power. Now, you must return to your proper time and place.
So he's now given us Persona. So unlike the later games in the series, like Persona 3, 4, and 5, the laws, I guess, of this specific universe are quite different compared to 3, 4, and 5. For those that have played 3, 4, or 5, they'll know about the wild card and all the arcanas and such. Technically speaking, every character here is a wild card, because we can all change personas. But we have to stay relatively close to our character's arcana. But it is, it does offer slightly different strategy options. Not that we're going to do any of them, though. So normally at the beginning of this game, if we were doing a CBEC run, we would be actually having to do some setup, a very specific RNG manip that would set us up for the game. For Snow Queen, we don't actually have to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the shop, we're going to take off every equipment item that our characters have on, and we're going to sell them. Because we don't need, or we need money, right? We're broke, we're students, it's student life, what can we say? And then, what better way to get out of being broke and poor than by spending your life savings and taking a trip to the local casino? Hold on. A trip to the local casino. So we need to get 3,000 coins, and to do that, we only have 163 coins. So you're thinking, how are we going to get 3,000 coins, you might wonder? Well, the answer is gambling. We're going to go to the casino and we're going to gamble our life savings away. Unironically, this is the fastest way of doing it. So I hope you guys like gambling. There was no save states. If you saw me making a save state, no, you didn't. Yeah. So we just have to try and get... Unironically, we just have to get lucky. Once we win a winning hand, we can then try our hands at mini-games. This is where we make the bulk of our money, unless we hit the jackpot, which is very unlikely. Now, this bit sucks. As you can imagine, because it's an RNG-based segment of a speedrun, you can imagine this goes very well. Because we have to just keep going. And if we lose, we lose all our money. We don't get to cash out at any point. Because it's slow. Because the idea is like the more you gamble, the more you're gonna win, right? So we kind of have to try and go far and deep, but the problem with that is there's a higher risk of losing. We're playing the category that's like basically just pick the higher card than they're showing, right? So it's basically impossible to lose if they pick a low card, except just then when they picked a low card and I lost. Once I promise, there is a game once we get past the casino. I promise. We just have to get past the casino first, which is easier said than done. If we get a royal flush, that would actually be really cool, because I've never gotten one. But yeah, we decided, you know, or I decided, what's more unpredictable in a marathon about unpredictability than going to the casino. So yeah, we're gonna go to the casino. We're gonna gamble all our life savings away, because we need to make money. So, and by doing so, we're gonna gamble in the casino. This is the first time we're doing this, so hopefully this goes first try, and we don't have to deal with any problems. Oh, see, look, we got a 3 of a kind. Isn't that super convenient? Oh, we got it wrong. Oh, let's try again, shall we? It'd be this card instead. See, I knew that. See, I knew that. How convenient. Look, we're just getting super lucky. Wow, we're getting just incredibly lucky. Isn't that just amazing? At how lucky we're getting? Yeah, I know. There's nothing to be seen here. I promise, nothing is happening here. This is all totally normal. See, look, that was so easy. I can't believe we got that first try. How impressive was that, huh? How impressive, huh? That we managed to get that first try. Now we can continue with the game. We're done here. So because we got zapped by lightning earlier, we have to take a trip to the hospital because our teacher is concerned with our health because we got zapped by lightning. Fairly understandable. I would do the same thing, to be honest, if I got zapped by lightning. And then met a weird man with a butterfly mask on. And at the same time, one of our classmates is here, a girl called Maki. Do not worry about her. She is only relevant for Seebeck. A lot of this intro bit only really works because of or only really makes sense if we do Seebeck, which we're not, so it's a little, you know, confused. Slightly, yes. Yeah. Admittedly, the estimate did expect me to be playing a tad bit longer than I actually did. Because I did not expect to basically lose 16 times in a row. I mean, I didn't lose. We won first try, actually. But yes, it was expecting me to be at the casino a little longer.
It seems to have subsided.
So we're at a hospital and an earthquake happened, just kind of weird. And now the ICU is gone.
What? How is that?
Isn't that crazy? That the ICU just vanishes.
That scream. It came from downstairs. Let's go.
And now there's zombies. Which is weird. I don't know where the zombies came from. We'll never find out because that information only comes up in Seebeck, not here. This game basically makes zero sense if you don't do Seebeck. So this is basically the equivalent of the awakening fights from the later games, where we discover all our friends have the power of Persona. That's crazy. Who could have seen that one coming? Every time we level up, we are putting points into agility, because agility is speed, and as they say, speed is life. It helps us with our evasion and our escape chance. So once we and our turn order. So if we max out our speed, we basically go first every single time, and it becomes almost impossible to get hit. There was no save states. I don't know what you're talking about. There was never a save state. There's no save states here. So we're gonna navigate our way through this hospital. We have a couple of recruits that we need to be doing. We need to recruit a poltergeist and a slime because we need it to do a Persona fusion later on. The only Persona fusion we'll see in this game. So for those of you that have played other Persona games, you might think, oh, this battle system doesn't look at all like Persona 5. And you're right, it's not. They are, this game plays a lot more like a classic turn-based RPG, or like a classic dungeon crawler kind of game. Fortunately for us, though, the main character is just built different. So he does all the work for us. And then because the main character is the only one actually doing anything, the game has like a shared sort of effort-based XP system. And so we want the main character to be getting all the XP, which is another reason why we let him do everything. So negotiations in this game sort of work on this sort of axis that you see in the top left, where we have to fill up basically like a little gauge for certain emotions. We want to fill it up with at least eager, and then they'll be willing to join our party, so that we can use them for fusions. We can also use them to basically get encounters we don't want to deal with. We can get rid of them. Because some encounters we can't actually fight properly or fight optimally, and it becomes faster to just negotiate them away. We do need to find a slime before we leave here, though, so hopefully we can get an encounter with a slime before we leave. If not, we just sit at the exit until we find one. Well, we will get one eventually. With the Seebeck route, we do RNG manips for this section of the game, so we get guaranteed encounters with everything that we need. But for Snow Queen, while technically we can do that, we don't really need to, considering we have to go to the arcade at some point. So it's just a bit more to do. And a lot more annoying stuff to reset to when you're doing like actual runs. But this bit usually doesn't take very long anyway, so it's not like a big deal if we don't end up or if we take a little longer to get an encounter. But we're just at the exit here, so we'll just sort of stand here and farm encounters until we can find a slime. I'm surprised we haven't found a slime yet, to be honest. But that is what this game is like sometimes with the random encounters. Sometimes we can just be sat here looking for an encounter for a little too long. for the purposes of this of like speedrunning the game, it's not really as bad because we minute most of it for Seebeck. But Snow Queen is actually quite difficult to minute, just because of how the scenario is set up. You don't really get a whole lot of save points, so there's not really a lot of ways to RNG minute the game. We'll get an encounter eventually, I believe. I'm genuinely surprised we haven't got one yet, though. This is the kind, like, slimes are usually really common. Well, we had to make up, I guess, considering how, you know, lucky the casino went for us. You know, we got to make up for some bad luck somewhere, I suppose, right? There's a slime. You can tell it's a slime because it's a slime. Not to be confused with other slimes you might have seen in games. But now we can leave and we can actually continue with the game. So here we come up to another awakening fight for one of our party members. The neat thing about these awakening fights is because they're scripted, they are guaranteed to give us a level up. They give everyone enough, exactly enough XP to level up. So if we'd wanted to, we could have maybe done like another encounter to get the max out of this, but considering we're already probably like a level or two higher than usual, it's not a big deal. Like, we're already level 10, which is pretty good. So that's a awakening fight. So now we're gonna head to our local shrine for more Seebeck related plot stuff that is completely and utterly irrelevant for this, which is funny because they're like, oh, we should go back to the school because the school is one of the only safe places in town right now. But we decide, nah, let's not. Let's instead just do some more story bits first. Then we can go back to the school. And while doing so, we have to try and get past all the random encounters. That's one problem with this game. It has one of the encounter rates of all time. It's probably the best way to describe it. It's not quite as bad as probably SMT1 you saw yesterday, where we could totally get encounters every step or so if we really wanted to, but the game does still like to give us plenty of encounters. But we become so powerful that it actually doesn't really matter. Too much, at least. So, oh look, there's a butterfly in the temple. I wonder who this butterfly could be. It's not like we met a butterfly man earlier. Totally not, right? Yo, it's the butterfly man from earlier. He has a name. I know. Let's just pretend he doesn't have one, though.
Are you used to your personas now? As you have seen for yourselves, events are moving in an unexpected direction. Only those with a strong will are capable of stopping the flow that has gone awry. From here on, a number of paths will present themselves to you. Down each of them, you will witness the karma of those you meet. But whatever path you choose, remember that the choice was yours, and no one else's.
So he, said some stuff. not 100% relevant to what we're doing, which is it's going to be a running theme till we actually get into the Snow Queen quest. Because for the two routes of this game, the intro is shared between them. We're just before the actual trigger for the Snow Queen quest. Once we get back to the school, there's a couple. It's like a mini side quest kind of thing that will unlock it for us, which we're going to do now. Requires us. It's not super difficult. Just requires us going talking to a few folk around the school. They talk about a weird mask that may or may not have cursed people that was used in a stage play at the school. I assume it's got no relevance to what we're about to do, totally. Don't know why there would be. So we're going to head up to classroom 2-4, which is this one all the way at the end of the hallway. There should be a classmate in here. And then we have to head up to the library, which is on the 3rd floor. Oh. And we speak to this student here. Tells us the mask's cursed. Then we have to go all the way to the drama club, which is by the gym, on the other side of the school. It's at the very least we can walk fast. So we speak to this person in the drama club. Then we have to go and speak to the student council president in the student council room, which is on the other side of the school, the side of the school we were just on, and now we have to go all the way back. I think is, oh, it's the next one. We speak to the student council president. Then we have to go and speak to the principal. Imagine trying to figure this out in the 90s without a manual or like a guide telling you how to do this, because it is slightly obtuse. It doesn't really you know, you don't get pointed in the right direction or anything, which is a common theme for this game, being a 90s JRPG. It doesn't explain a lot of things very well. Because you can actually get surprisingly broken in this game, but you would never know, because the game doesn't really tell you. So here's this weird mask we were talking about. We found it in a box in the school gym, and now it's ours. And we're gonna head back to the class, or to our classroom, because the teacher's like, oh, they're closing the gym because they want to keep everyone safe. Some of our friends, they're gonna go and do some CBEC stuff in the meantime, and we are now officially locked into the Snow Queen quest. Only took 27 minutes, but here we are. So there's some, you know, they're talking about how the mask's cursed or whatever, and then the mask gets stuck to our teacher's face, and because the mask is cursed, you know, bad things happen. So now the school's frozen. Unbelievably, in the Snow Queen quest, there is snow. Wouldn't have guessed. So our teacher's been, you know, possessed by the evil mask, and we're gonna have to try and save her. That's sort of the whole goal to do this. But before we do that, we do have to do some setup. We're gonna have to recruit some party members, because right now there's only 3 of us. But we need a party of 5 before we can actually go on our on our journey to save our teacher. Once we get through all the dialogue first, though. That's the problem with these kind of RPGs, is lots of dialogue. I am lucky that I have access to turbo functionalities, which makes getting through this dialogue so much easier. Oh, and here's the butterfly again. He's got some stuff he wants to tell us about. He's basically going to tell us how we can save our teacher.
A moment, please. You are angry and frustrated, but that will not rescue your teacher. There is only one way to do that. The Demon Mirror. It can remove the source of the mask's curse. However, the Snow Queen has shattered it. The 12 shards are scattered amongst 3 towers. Take this mirror frame with you. Fit the mirror shards you find into it. If you gather enough shards to reflect your teacher, she can be saved. There isn't much time left. I pray for your success.
So here is basically the distinction on how we get the bad or true ending. We need to collect, I think it's 8 out of the 12 shards, or 9 out of the 12 shards, in order to unlock the true ending. But if you get any less, then we get locked to the bad ending. So it's a very simple sort of distinction. We don't have to do a whole lot to in that regard. So we're going to go into this room. We're going to recruit Ellie. She's going to become our 4th party member. Very important. She's kind of helpful, because her persona can help deal with angels. So, you know, she'll be nice to have along with us. And then, for some reason, between the castle, or not the castle, between the school becoming a school and then a frozen castle, they added a casino to the school, which is very interesting, but very useful for us. So we're going to go here. We're going to exchange the 3,000 credits we got earlier, and we're going to buy a Scorching Tablet. Now, the Scorching Tablet, what it does is effectively just like a stone, so we can cast it to access magic, or we can use it in Persona Fusion, and we can transfer the skill that it correlates to onto a persona. So the Scorching Tablet, it is basically Megidolaean, which is one of the strongest skills in the game, doing heavy nuclear damage. And you might be thinking, oh, did you not just say it was a Megiddo type spell? Is that not almighty damage? You'd be right, except in this game. There is no such thing as almighty damage in this game. So there is only... so Megiddo is just nuclear instead, which is fine. It has a very high base power anyway. And that's all we kind of really care about, is the base power. And none of the bosses repel or null or absorb nuclear damage, which works out for us. So here's one of our classmates. He turns into a demon for some reason. I think it's because he got made fun of, or no, he got rejected by one of our classmates, one of our party members, and so he turns into a demon. Which is, you know, totally rational, normal behavior, I think. I wouldn't know. And here's our Persona Awakening for Brown. So we even get a free level up here as well. So now that we've got our 5th party member, we are basically ready to go on and save our teacher, but we have one little setup we have to do left. We have to buy some items, and then we have to do our one and only Persona Fusion. And hopefully, I don't mess this one up. I have my guide right beside me that will tell me, or that to remind me, because I have in practice before messed it up. No, I need to go into... No, I do need to go in here. So we sell all our equipment again. Because even though we sold all the equipment from our party members, because they left the party and came back, all their items are returned to them. Which is funny for us, because that means we can just sell them for more money again. So we'll do that just to get a bit more money. Because all these items we don't actually need. We don't need armor because we have a high enough evasion that we're unlikely to get hit by anything. Then... Hold on, sorry. I'm trying to pay attention for a moment. Let's buy 25 of them. And then we'll go to the next store over and buy some items as well. I did this in the reverse order because usually the rattle drinks you just buy with whatever money you have left. So I did actually have to watch my money for a moment, but it's fine. We still have plenty of money. So we don't actually care about our equipment. We don't need guns or ammo or swords because we're just going to let our personas do all the talking. Now we have to enter the Velvet Room, which is pretty much just in front of us. But we have to do it on a new moon specifically. Because as I mentioned previously, this game doesn't explain things very well. One of the things it doesn't explain very well is personas can have... special powers given to them depending on how they were fused and when they were fused. So by fusing a pixie on New Moon with a poltergeist and a slime, it gains what's called hidden potential. And the hidden potential for this fusion combination in particular is when the persona's max rank, there is a 25% chance that when the user dies, they will be instantly revived in battle, with the downside being that the persona gets reset to level 1, meaning it loses all the learned skills and you have to level them up again. But the important thing to note is it might reset them, but what it doesn't reset is any stat increases that the persona is given, which is helpful because every time Pixie levels up, it gains points in luck, which is kind of whatever, but it also gains points in magic attack. And because it doesn't reset when the persona gets reset, it will continually increment. So we can do some silly damage, and that is kind of the point we're going for. We want to do silly damage, because that is what we like here. So we're gonna have, we gave it to Yukino because she's got best affinity with Lover's Arcana personas. So we're gonna have the main character clean up so there's only one persona left. And then we're just going to have Yukino just spam Dia. We want her to use up all her SP, because how it works, persona leveling in this game works, is it's based on the persona being used in battle. So every time it uses a skill, it gains points, and once it gets enough points, it levels up, effectively. And because Pixie knows Dia, we can just sit and spam Dia. So she can't die, because she will constantly out-heal all the damage that's being done until she runs out of SP. Then when she runs out of SP, we can just refill her SP and do it again until she's max rank, basically. I'm going to take a mini break while she's doing this and have a drink because I've basically been non-stop talking. I kind of, you know, want to give my throat a moment's break. Usually I have someone sitting with me yapping, so I don't have to be constantly yapping just myself. But it's just me today. So I hope everyone's having a good time so far. If anyone's got questions or anything they want to ask, you know, feel free. Excuse me. I also hope you enjoy this battle theme, because you're going to hear it a lot. I think in an effort to try and get this to go just ever so slightly faster, we're going to kill one of the demons just so we can skip some turns. Except we can't actually do any damage to it, which is kind of funny actually. Zio is probably good enough. Yeah, because we're having to wait for everyone to take their turn, it just saves us a little bit of time. We only have to do this once because of how short the run is, so this is the only time we have to do it. But in order for us to do silly damage, we have to do it at least once. See, this goes slightly faster now. I think it takes us about, it's like 1.25 to 1.5 SP bars to max out Pixie. Oh, I just accidentally hit my microphone arm. Rank 7, we're almost there. Unfortunately, 7 to 8 is the one that takes the longest. It probably takes as long as like 1 to 6 combined or something like that. I'm surprised it took the demon that long to run away, actually. It's fine. No big deal. We'll get it done in the next encounter. Hopefully we'll get an encounter that's also one that can kill really quickly. Because the whole idea is once we're max level, we just have Yukino guard until everyone's dead. After use, sorry, some of these encounters we don't actually deal with in CBEC. I'm so much more used to CBEC. Some of these encounters do confuse me slightly. Also, there was Jack Frost. I don't know if you noticed he was in the back. The Hee-Ho mascot of Atlas. So this is an encounter with a zombie cop. This is actually perfect for what we need. Zombie cops can kill really quickly. So we're just going to deal with all the other encounters first and then... Or all the other demons, and then we can just sit and heal in front of zombie cop. Or she was gonna die. That also can work, but that's not what we were looking for. Especially because we do only have a limited amount of revival beads. And we're hoping to not whiff 8 of them, right? It is, as I said, it is a 25% chance. But it's also a 25% chance. So... I've had, I think the last time I ran this for a marathon showcase, I think we hit, it was like 12 times or something before we hit 1. Which is a statistical anomaly, but was also really funny, if we're being honest. Yeah, we don't want to kill the zombie cop. Unfortunately, the auto battler will kill the zombie cop because it's the closest target. So we just have to manually do it until the Q-Sith was dead, and now we can just auto for the rest of it. So one of the gimmicks with the Snow Queen quest dungeons is that we actually are on a time limit. We have to beat the dungeons within, I think it's an hour real time. Otherwise we fail. Fortunately for us, we do not have to worry about the timer. The timer doesn't increment in battle, which is kind of funny. And also, I know where I'm going. I've done this often enough, I know where I'm going. Don't have to worry about getting lost or anything. So we should be getting kinda close to max level at this point. And then we can just have Yukino guard until she revives herself. There you go, that's at max ranks. And now we can just guard. And because we're guarding, it also makes this go so much quicker, because now we don't do anything. And we just have to hope the cop uses one of his gun attacks, because it does do more damage. And we don't want them guarding either, because that just wastes time. Or miss. Missing is also something that can happen. So we'll count how many times it takes. That was 1. So 125% chance we've missed already. Two 25% chances we missed. Would also be nice if he stopped hitting me. Because I'm not the one that needs to be killed here. Yeah, I have to heal. If anything, I'll be more likely to die than Yukino is at this point. Which is kind of funny. That is a 325% chances. See, I'm not a mathematician, but statistically this should be 1 in every 4 attempts, right? Because that was our 4th one, and it hasn't happened yet. That's our 5th one, and it hasn't happened yet. See, once we get this done, we do just speed through the rest of the dungeons. Like, we have 3 dungeons to do. We're only on the first one, but most of the time is in the setup. Once we've actually done the setup, it goes really quickly afterwards. There we go. That only took 7 attempts before we got it. So now we can just end this battle. And then the next battle we get into, Yukino will get really powerful. And then in turn, the main character gets really powerful. So now that we're done with that, we can now actually speed through the rest of the game. So for the first battle, though, we do need to cast a singular Dia because Persona got reset to level 1. But then you'll see we learn Megidolaean, and now we are sorted. So remember, these guys probably have about as much HP as we do, right? So about 100 or so. And then we'll see what kind of damage you're doing. Like 400 to 600. So the encounters will be no difficulty for us anymore. Which is honestly the beauty of this game's speedrun, in my opinion, is just how broken we get. It's one of the reasons why I quite like this run, to be honest, is just how sort of silly overpowered we get. It also makes the run, you know, quite accessible, in my opinion. Because there's no real risk of dying or anything like that. Because we get so powerful, it is quite unlikely for us to die. That's funny, those Jack Frosts dropped a Mabufu stone as part of their drops for that encounter. This route does technically work on the PS1 original, which doesn't have RNG manips or anything. And we need a Mabufu stone, which we manip for PSP, but we don't have to, or we can't on PS1. So the fact that we got one there is kind of funny. I remember I was practicing, or I was trying to do a run of the PS1 version, and just couldn't get the stone drops I needed. I was just never getting them. So now we've transferred Pixie onto the main character, and that is the last time we have to go into the Velvet Room. Because now the main character is just going to carry us for the rest of the game. As you can see, we have a magic attack stat of almost 200, which, as you can imagine, makes us, at this stage in the game especially, it makes us quite powerful compared to everything else we're fighting. And also based on the damage numbers we're doing, where we just did like 3,000 damage to like level, 8 demons. So we're in the Hypnos Tower, so these people have fallen asleep. Now, normally, if we're going for true ending, we have to actually go and wake these people up from their dreams, so that we can get mirror shards from them. Because the mirror shards we need to unlock the true ending. But because we're only going for the bad ending, we don't really care. So we're just gonna walk past them and we're just gonna let them sleep. Like they're having a nap, you know, a well-deserved nap. So we're not here to stop them from napping. There is like a whole sort of sub-floor to this dungeon where we do wake them up, but because we don't have to, we don't actually. We could just skip through it all, which makes this a lot easier for us. And then from now on, it's just a case of like we just obliterate everything, and we just hope we don't get any random encounters while we do so. So the sort of real, I guess, sort of skill or challenge that comes from this now is just navigating, and then a bit of knowledge checks as well, remembering which demons we can and can't destroy. Because some of these demons we encounter do resist or repel nuclear attacks. So those ones we can't Megi delay into death. But everything else is no difficulty. Yes, and in the spirit of things, random encounters do, you know, feel very fitting. You can also tell I haven't updated the software yet because they actually, so you might have noticed that when we go into transitions, you're seeing the casino from earlier as a haunting reminder of what we had to do to get here, right? I believe the latest version of PPSSPP did actually fix it. Because it's a problem that happens in both this game and Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment, the Persona 2 games. And they actually fixed it for the in the latest version, and you can tell I haven't updated yet because it's not been fixed yet. So every time we get an encounter, we're just brutally reminded of the horrors of the casino. These dungeons, thankfully, are very, you know, straightforward. Not too difficult. We don't have to deal with any puzzles or anything. That comes, I believe it's in the final dungeon. The one we don't actually do. The true ending dungeon, the one we don't actually do. Which has a unbelievably unique, shall we say, puzzle, which is basically the 4 floors of the dungeon are all just random staircases that take you in random places. Which is always a fun time, as you can imagine. So some of these demons we're having to use like Zeo and stuff on because they can't actually be nuked. Which is, you know, helpful that Pixie learns. It learns Garu and Zeo, which is actually quite helpful for those sort of awkward encounters that we can't just nuke. I'm trying my hardest to not bounce into the corners. Because that's sort of, well, yeah, again, where sort of a lot of time save comes from is being able to quickly navigate through the dungeons without bumping into walls and what have you. And then we're actually coming up to our the first actual boss fight that we get to participate in. Because technically the Awakening fights you could classify as boss fights in a sense, but we don't actually get to participate in any of them because the boss is not interested, or the game's, it's a scripted fight. So this is our first boss encounter. All of these bosses are previous victims of the Snow Queen's mask that were previously cursed by the mask, and now they live in these towers. So this boss we just nuke. See, that's him dead already. So that was the first boss, and we get so much XP off of that. Next comes up the shortest dungeon in the game, which is Nemesis. This dungeon gets harder and longer the further you go, or the long. Let me start from the beginning because I kind of just completely flubbed my words there. The dungeon gets harder the longer you take to beat it. So, in order for the true ending, we do have to beat the dungeon slow, because the further up the dungeon we go, we get more mirror shards. But obviously we don't really care about that too much, so we are just going to not bother. If I remember rightly, this is Nemesis. No, this is Thanatos. The other one's Nemesis. That's the third tower, so we'll go in there later on, but this is Hypnos here. Not Hypnos, Nemesis. We just finished Hypnos. Can you tell my brain is clearly not all the way there right now? Like the event, my brain is currently all over the place and unorganized. But this one, we actually, it is really, so it is honestly surprising when you look at the map for this dungeon how short it actually is. Like half the map goes unused because we beat it too quickly. And you might think like, oh, for true ending, doesn't this delay the run because you have to wait? And no, really, actually, because for this, this will be one of the few that we just end up skipping. Because some of the... we don't have to collect all 12 mirror shards, thankfully. So this is the few that we end up skipping because we don't need them. Because it takes too long. Because as I mentioned, it's real time. So we'd have to be sat here for like... It's like... I think it ends up being an hour. Until we can actually unlock the highest floor of the dungeon. And put it bluntly, we don't have time for that. Especially when there's more important things we could be doing. Like beating the game. So here we come to like a little sort of checkpoint, I guess. Where if we take a alternate path, we can get a mirror shard, but that's slow. So we're gonna not do that. Don't worry about our classmates in there. They are totally fine and totally healthy. I don't worry about them at all. They might look like they're being tortured, but trust me, they're having fun. If we wanted to rescue them, we would get a mirror shard, but we don't need that extra mirror shard, so we're just gonna go. We're gonna pretend that we didn't see anything and just go on our merry way. I remember having to do this Snow Queen stuff for retro achievements, and it was actually I had to do this several times. Not because it required me to do it several times, but because I kept messing it up. Because I kept being a little too cocky and not saving the game, which of course, as you can imagine, gets immediately punished by getting like wiped by something you weren't expecting to get wiped on. The true RPG experience, right? See, like that demon, I forget. It's on the list. It repels nuclear. Forgot it repels nuclear. So we're gonna improvise. Thankfully, I had one revival bead left, so we'll be okay. This is one of the demons that repels nuke. As you might have been able to tell by the fact that we insta-killed ourselves by accident. But it's okay. It happens, you know, sometimes it happens. And here is basically the end of Nemesis Tower. As you could kind of see on the map, it looked like there was still more to the dungeon. But because we're beating it so early and we're doing it so fast, we don't actually have to deal with any of that. And now we have our second boss fight. Now this boss fight, this is the easiest version of this boss fight because we finish it so quickly. Normal, like if you were to take your time here, the boss does get stronger, like more health, and I believe its attacks get stronger. I forgot to change it back. It's fine. It's fine. The boss just gets nuked to death. It's all fine. Nothing to worry about here. As long as the main character doesn't get hit, then we're fine. See, he just missed everything because he's that good. And now we can move on to Thanatos Tower, which is the last dungeon in this run, at least. And this, so they've all had sort of unique gimmicks, I guess. The Hypnos Tower had the little room where you had to go and wake everyone up that we didn't go into. Nemesis had where we had to be the opposite. We had to actually go slow in this dungeon if we wanted to get all the shards. The next dungeon has the gimmick where if you die, your persona gets sealed or like stolen from you, essentially. And if it gets stolen, we have to go and retrieve it. The run is going fine. We are on the third, just about to start the third dungeon. And then after this dungeon is the final boss, so there's not a whole lot to it. I would probably say we're doing fine, I think. Definitely I think way under the estimate we were going for. But I expected to be at the casino a lot longer than we actually were. But yeah, so one of the gimmicks with this dungeon is if any of our party members die at any point, their personas get sealed and taken away from us. And if we want them back, we have to go to Tartarus. Not to be confused with the Tartarus from Persona 3. I would probably say 15-20 minutes at most. Like, I'd probably say 15 specifically. And that's probably generous if we get like lots of random encounters. because we don't have to go through, like, a lot of the time spent in this dungeon would be going through Tartarus, but because we don't have to go through Tartarus, this dungeon ends up being quite quick. So that's probably how long I would guesstimate. But yeah, so we have to take very good care to not kill the main character at any point, otherwise we will have to go through Tartarus, and we are not prepared to survive Tartarus. So I do actually have to be very careful here. Oh, I'm binded. Okay. We should be fine. We should be fine. We're binded, which means we can't do anything, but we should be okay. We will simply not get binded again. And hopefully escape. Now we're gonna have to do some slight improv here because we can't kill these guys normally, so we're gonna hopefully try and escape. Sometimes we do get these kinds of encounters where you kind of get stuck if the negotiation goes wrong. Because I don't have a firearm either, which if I had a firearm we could just shoot these guys and it would be so much easier. So I'm just gonna try and get lucky and hope we escape. Because our escape chance is sort of determined by the speed of our party, but because the rest of our party's dead, we do get improved escape chances because everyone else is dead. And I guess the rest of our party will no longer be able to use our personas, but that is okay. They don't need to use their personas. Only we do. We're gonna put points into dexterity because we've got pretty much all the agility we could ever need. Saying that, I'm not entirely sure why we put points into dexterity, because we don't buy a gun, so we don't actually need dexterity. Dexterity helps improve gun damage and accuracy, basically. But that's completely irrelevant if we don't buy a gun. And the run is too short, so there's no need to buy a gun for the most part. That's less problematic when the Eligors actually leave instead of binding you. We might as well just max out our agility while we can. There's no real reason not to, so. Especially because we are not buying a firearm. Because guns in this game are actually really busted. At least the main character's gun, because the main character gets access to the submachine gun. And the submachine guns are basically the best weapons in the game. Because they can hit multiple times. and they have decent damage and they can hit multiple times, which is what we do in the main run in Seebeck. We buy ourselves as a sort of safety backup weapon. We buy a machine gun that lets us hit, I think it's 7 times. Guaranteed 7 times. Along with bullets that have a chance to inflict bind. So it ends up being, we have 7 chances to make our opponent not be able to take an action that turn. Which, when you can imagine, some of these demons can be a bit iffy when they don't negotiate properly, is super helpful. Right? We are going to take a quick detour to the local store. While we're here, we're going to buy an armor set that just makes the final boss a little safer. We don't strictly need it, the armor set, but it just helps because the boss can do a bit uncomfortable levels of damage, so having the armor does help us a little, like give us a little bit of survivability, just in like those fringe cases where we get hit a bit more than we should. Don't actually want to talk to this demon, I want to talk to the Hinoemna behind her. Because she's the one we don't actually want to deal with. All the other demons we don't really care about, it's fine. It's just unfortunate that we have such an awkward encounter rate, because we have ways of getting around the encounter rate. We have Estoma, which is basically just a repel, so we don't have to deal with encounters, but Estoma is average level of the party, which doesn't do anything. We want arms, leg. We just buy the full Yaks, actually. We would normally, or we can buy the female set as well, but I don't think we need the female set. So we're just gonna go with just the main character. He's the only important character anyway, so. If the rest of our party dies, it's okay. Nothing of value is lost. I say that, but I'm sure the rest of my party members are all lovely. I'm a little lost, sorry. Like, again, I have a map. I know where I'm supposed to be going. But sometimes I stare at the map and get lost. Which is funny. And sort of slightly ironic. That is just an emulator bug. It is being fixed in the latest version of the emulator. I have simply not updated the emulator. It's because we used a save state. It doesn't do that if you don't use save states. But because I made a save one time, right? Just think of it as a cruel reminder of what we had to do to get here. Because we had to go through the grueling casino to get here. Yeah, anyone that's actually grinded out this category will agree. The worst part about this game is the casino. Yeah, don't worry, everything is all good just now. Noctis and I were just being a little silly. One day someone will figure out how to manip the Snow Queen, or manip this game entirely so that we don't have to deal with random encounters. That would make my life so much easier if we didn't have to deal with all the random encounters. Like, it wouldn't be the first PSP Mega 10 game that's had it basically completely RNG minute route. I believe Devil Summoner does on the PSP. Like, runs of that game just get basically 0 random encounters. I should be. The problem with that, though, it takes a long time to figure that out. I would need a lot of time and a lot of patience to try and figure out how to completely manip the game from start to finish. But one day. Because theoretically, it is entirely possible. It's just no one's done it, right? We've already, like, got the basics for, like, the start of the game manipped. It's more just then having to figure out everything else, right? I also just kind of wish PPSSPP had slightly better tasking tools. Would probably make it slightly easier. But it doesn't have, like, the best tasking tools. At least not the last time I looked at trying to do it. So it would probably be a little easier if I had better tools. So then maybe that's the change I need to be. Maybe I need to become a PPSSPP developer and develop tasking tools for it. Are we winning? Yes, absolutely. We've never stopped winning. This run is nothing but 24/7 wins. Oh my god. Look at all that damage they took. All three of them hit the damage cap. Sorry, all four of them hit the damage cap. I will choose not to elaborate on the demon designs. I don't think I need to. I'm just trying to hope I can escape, but unfortunately, we are blind. This game, also being like an old 90s RPG, right? One of the funny things about this, or about a game of sort of this age and this, before, you know, before we sort of standardize the Megaten formula, this game has a lot of status effects, and most of them do nothing. It is really funny. There's if you look on the Take with a Pinch of Salt Megaten wiki, it has a list of all the status effects in this game, and you'll read through them. Some of them are duplicates, and some of them do basically nothing. Anyway, here's the boss of this dungeon. We finally made it to the end of the dungeon. And unsurprisingly, what do we do for this boss fight? Nuke. So, this is Thanatos. They have a bunch of, like, worm bits. We don't have to defeat all these worm bits. We only have to defeat the guy in the back. See, here's a status effect, right? We are unlucky. What does that mean? Like, of course we know what being unlucky means, but, like, gameplay-wise, it does functionally nothing. And that was Thanatos. They're dead now. We're never getting a remake of this game. I would love if this game got a remake, but I am also optimistic. Or, sorry, I'm also being real. I don't think we'll get one, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a fun look if you look at the wiki for all the status effects in this game and just read at what some of them do. Like, they have effects, but realistically those effects don't do anything. And then some of them are duplicates, like poison and sick are two status effects you can have. They both do the same thing. They both are damage over time. The only difference is I think one of them does slightly more damage. Alright, so we're coming up on the final boss. So time will be coming up. Once we defeat the boss, there's some dialogue. After the dialogue is when the run is officially over. So this is sort of where things are coming to an end now. So we're going to be quite under... Not quite underestimate as I thought we'd be, but still under estimate a decent amount. Again, same idea with the last boss as this one. Nuke. As long as we don't get frozen. That is also helpful if we don't get frozen. Because ideally we shouldn't be getting hit. I also don't want to die here. Yes, the boss is sitting on top of a Regice. Or a Regice, however you want to pronounce it. I'm not good at pronouncing funky Pokemon names. Oh. We're gonna stall a couple of turns to heal just to be extra safe. She should die next turn, but you know, we don't wanna mess around, right? I lied, it's not next turn. There you go. Now that's the final boss. So the run is technically finished now. Normally once we defeat this fight, it's like if we've unlocked the true ending, it'll be like, oh yo, we got the true ending. But we didn't, so it ends now. The schedule is locked behind Discord because there is no schedule. As you can see, because this is the bad ending, you can see all our friends are now frozen. And that is time. So that is the Snow Queen quest. Bad ending. Our friends are indeed a lot cooler. That is true. But not in the way you were hoping. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say, to be completely honest. Because we're making this up on the go, right? Again, shout out to Cruel for letting me participate. Shout out to everyone that's watching and everyone else that's participated. I don't know, Cruel, if you're ready for like to move on or what. So if you are, then just, you know, you could just cut me off and we can get going if you want. But yeah, hopefully everyone enjoys the rest of the show.